Coming up, can the Nuggets go up 2-0? What are some adjustments we're expecting in game 2? Is Jokic just going to dominate this entire series the way that he did in game 1 after a relatively quiet round 1? Round 1. And we'll talk about some of the other playoff matchups. All that and more on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day, being with us Monday through Friday, being an everyday or hanging out with us, whether you're listening to us on podcast or catching us at youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets. We do appreciate you guys making us your first listen. Today's show, we're going to talk about some leftover thoughts from game 1 of the Western Conference semifinal series versus the Oklahoma City Thunder as your Nuggets lead 1-0. What can Denver do to go up 2-0? How realistic is that? Probably very realistic at this point. And we'll kind of get into some of the adjustments that we're expecting, as well as some other things. We'll talk about Jokic, if he can keep up this level of performance that he had in game 1 with a ridiculous game. And we'll talk about some of the other playoff matchups as well. Okay. I'm Matt Moore, senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I write at thedenverdig.com. Ryan Blackburn's at Mile High Sports and the Pickaxe and Roll podcast. So, Ryan, home teams are over in the second round so far.
Just an insane stat that you saw come across the screen for Wolves Warriors, and holy cow, the way that the Wolves did that. I know we'll get into some of the other playoff matchups too, but 0-4? 0-4 for the home teams? Are you serious? This playoffs is incredible.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. And the way that it happened for the for the Indiana Pacers with how they pulled that off.
Oh my God.
The Warriors getting the win without Steph Curry. The Warriors are my least favorite team, where it's like,
sure,
they're really they're really dangerous. They could win the Western Conference. And if you ask me like how, I'm like, I have no idea. They're not good at anything. They just win these games. I have no idea. I cannot tell you. I do not think they're good at all. But here they are, up 1-0 in the Western Conference Finals without Steph Curry, or Western Conference semifinals. So here we are. 0-5 they make note of because of the Pacers game. Just
man. Cavs. You want to just do that now? You want to do the playoff matchups now because it's kind of fresh on the mind. Like, how are the Cavs? I mean, not how, but like, so unfortunate to see Evan Mobley, DeAndre Hunter, Darius Garland go down for them in what I think a lot of us thought was just their year. Now they're down 0-2 and have to go on the road and get at least one of those games back.
Yeah, the numbers are not good. Teams in the Cavaliers spot are actually 4-8 straight up since 2003, winning that game 3 after going down 0-2. Not good.
Not good.
The chances are very slim. And this Pacers team, man, they play so fearlessly. They are such a great story. I love watching them play. I love their physicality. I think they are tremendous. Like, I just think that they are
under the radar for the entire season, despite making the Eastern Conference Finals last year.
I took a lot of grief because I had Tyrese Halliburton so high in my top 100, and like I stuck to it, and everybody was like, "That's ridiculous. He only had a good month." And now I'm like, "This guy's a playoff riser. He's one of the best engines in the NBA. He's dangerous, and in these late game moments, he takes over." It's really crazy because what Hallie does is he plays a lot, honestly, like Jokic, where he lets the game come to him and just sets up teammates and runs the offense. The lack of him taking over games until late reminds me a lot of early Jokic, where people will be like, Jokic has got to be more aggressive. He's got to be more aggressive. And Joker was always like, no, you just like make the right play. And it took until Joker was really like 26 until he learned, oh, like there's times when I just have to like do the thing. And so,
shout out to Aaron Nesmith too, by the way, who's just a dog. He's been hounding it. And despite that, like Donovan Mitchell put up 40 some odd points in this last game. They needed that win. Cleveland needed that win. And for that to slip away for them is a tough place for them to be.
I actually wanted to check on this. Is Nesmith a free agent this summer?
I don't believe he is, but like that's like if you're talking about how to build out Denver, like he's the ideal kind of player to just like the type of player to go get somebody who's incredibly active on the defensive end, and it seems like he's a shot maker in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's on the books for 2 more years, 11 million. He's extension eligible this summer. We'll see what they do with him because they're going to have to figure out.
Incredible contract, but they've got a lot of money issues with Turner.
Yeah, they're going to figure out Turner. That's one of the reasons I heard that he might have been gettable at the deadline. So Steph's going to be out probably like a week at least.
For them to get this one on the road, like what happened to the Wolves? How much of that game did you check in on tonight?
I tried to watch it, but like watching the Warriors is like I hate watching.
I'm watching the final season of Breaking Bad for the first time.
They are ugly. Like the Wolves, like the Wolves had no made 3-pointers at half. Anthony Edwards didn't have a field goal made at the half. It's voodoo. You know how the Heat just kind of like stuff just happened for them? That's this Warriors team now.
It does, and like weird. Wonder why that is. Wonder who could be kind of drawing some of those things out of them in this particular.
I don't think it's that though. Like that's how they were before. I don't think it's. I don't believe in the Jimmy Butler mystique.
It's the first year. It's the super mega Butler moment kind of thing. Like I do think that he just kind of draws some of this naturally, but like I don't believe in it. Like it's very much something that I don't think is sustainable at all. But like it's the playoffs, anything can happen.
The Celtics are just very likely to come out of the East at this point. I would love it if it was the Pacers. I would love it. It'd be so much fun if it was the Pacers. That would be ridiculously great. But it's not going to be. Like it's going to be Boston. It's like the Pacers are going to wreck the Bucks' entire existence. They're going to demolish the most fun year in Cavs history. And then they're going to come up short versus Boston. We're just going to have Boston back in the finals
again.
But hey, if you're listening to this and you're like, but you said they were going to lose to the Thunder, so fine, maybe I'm wrong and they win. But it's really crazy. Like somebody was mentioning home court, yeah, like home court advantage isn't a thing. But the other thing, if you notice, there is a trend in these games. Like think about it, the Knicks are or the Celtics are up 20. Knicks come back and win. The Thunder are up, 17? I think was the biggest lead.
It was 16, 17, somewhere around there.
Nuggets come back and win. The Cavs built a 20-point lead. The Pacers come back and win. It's these late closes. It really is a battle of attrition. It's do you have enough energy in the tank to close? The Wolves are the only one of these that really got handled from start to finish. Pacers, game one, handled business from start to finish, but just really interesting.
It's been a fascinating year. With 3 teams in Boston, Cleveland, and OKC that we thought, like, look, those are clearly the 3 best teams in the regular season. They racked up these wins. I don't know how many. I think it was 60 plus for the Celtics and then 65 plus for each of OKC and Cleveland. You would expect them to really be meeting in the Final Four, but the fact that it's gone the other direction, at least in the first game, like it could obviously turn around for all of those situations, but the fact that we're in this place, it just goes to show Adam Silver has gone a long way. The NBA owners have gone a long way in terms of flattening out the odds in terms of competitive basketball from every single situation. And I do think that getting into this top 8, as long as you get there, now you have a chance. Now you have a shot. You just need something to break your way. Darius Garland to get hurt. Steph Curry to get hurt. There's a lot of reasons, I think, to have faith if you're a Nuggets fan at this point. Like, even if I didn't necessarily give them a great shot against OKC, now you're here. It's the first step is done. So what are you going to do about it? And I think that they are now obviously in a great spot.
We'll talk about whether the Nuggets can steal game 2. We'll talk about some of the injury situations as well, and a lot more coming up on Locked On Nuggets. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Tell me about it. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. You can combine your live prop bets mid-game based on how the action unfolds. You can get a read on who's heating up and back it up with a same-game parlay. And you can get $200 in bonus bets added to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We're also brought to you today by OpenPhone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time that you had an urgent need, maybe for a plumber or a service provider. If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. That's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or computer. The shared inbox feature is a game changer. Your team can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat. OpenPhone is offering our listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedonnba. That's openphone.com/lockedonnba. And if you have existing phone numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making this part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us. Okay. So a couple of injury things. Somebody was asking about how hurt MPJ is. The answer is very. I think this is going to be an injury because he obviously was able to play through it. This is going to be an injury where some games he's going to look like he did in Game 7, and some games he's going to look like he did in Game 1. And a lot of that, quite honestly, is probably the treatment and how effective it is pregame. Like he's getting a lot of treatment on the stuff in order for him to be able to play. Do not like, I would say, how can I put this? When a player plays, you have to analyze them. Like if they put themselves out there, you analyze them and you do that. But I think as fans, it's fair to be like, you can give Mike a break. Mike's battling through a lot right now, and he's doing the absolute best he can. This is not Michael Porter shrinking from the moment. This is Michael Porter can't lift his arm over his head. Like those are different things. At least that's where I've got the perception of where the injury is at.
Yeah, 100%. Like he played 24 minutes in Game 1. I think that there is a world where some of those shots go down. He looks a little bit better. I thought that the things that he couldn't control didn't go his way. The things that he could control also didn't go his way in Game 1. I thought his reads on some of these plays were not great. There was one great contest that he had against Isaiah Joe on the perimeter, but those are the ones that matter to me, that if the shot's not going down, how are you going to be able to battle? Are you going to be able to rotate? Are you going to do the things connected on a team defense, team offense kind of string? That's what matters to me the most if his shot's not going down. So if he can get to that place, then I think we're cooking with gas at that point. But I'm curious to see what he can bring in Game 2. It's a big adjustment for Denver, and it's one thing that I do think that he could absolutely get back on track with.
Okay. Jokic, I think is like, look, he's banged up. He's got back, like he's dealing with the back, he's dealing with the wrist, he's dealing with the elbow, the shooting sleeves, etc. But it's hard to say that he's Like, look what he was Godzilla in Game 1. So it's not.
It is funny that like when we're a little critical of him, games 5, 6, 7, there was a lot of talk about, the elbow is bad, the wrist is bad, and like, but then he has a game like he does in Game 1 where he's just absolutely physically dominant, and everybody's like, see, why aren't you crediting him more? Like, I don't know, guys. Like, he is probably slightly more hurt than the average player, but he's also Nikola freaking Jokic, and he's been unbelievable in these kinds of situations for his entire career. I continue to believe that he will be leveling up in this moment, and like just the way that he is as locked in as he is as a player, but also just running the team in a lot of these situations has been really, really impressive.
One of the things that was interesting is I kind of, whenever I thought about the matchup stuff, it's why it's disappointing, because like if the Nuggets had won in 6, I would have been on Nuggets in Game 1. I would have been like, they could beat this team.
Yeah.
The matchups, I've talked about this, and if you don't believe me, go listen to Buckets. I did a whole preview over there talking about the series, and I said I was like, they can hang in the series. And I talked about it when I did the Game 1 kind of review, like preview of the series, when like, yes, I thought they were going to lose because the Game 7 spot is a terrible rest spot and they should have been exhausted. And the fact they didn't is an impressive performance and how resilient they are.
Yeah.
However, the matchups overall, like, it's not that Chet Holmgren's not a great defender, and it's not that Isaiah Hartenstein's not a great defender. They are against mortal men. But against Jokic, you got to be exactly Zoo's build and mobility in order to be able to do what he did. Like, Jokic gives Anthony Davis nightmares.
Yeah.
Like that's how good he is. So I think there's advantages there. I'll ask you this.
Okay.
Well, okay, here, first off, do you expect, I think 40 and 23 is probably a bit much, but are you expecting relative to the first round? I'm expecting a dominant Jokic series where he looks like the best player on earth again.
I kind of am too. Like there are going to be times where the Thunder just double him relentlessly. They're going to dare other people to be the ones that beat them. They're going to pack the paint and do the thing that the Lakers have done in previous matchups where they will put everybody to the point where they all have a foot in the paint or multiple and dare the rest of the team to kind of get it done. And Denver's going to have to rely on their other guys. And fortunately for them, Russell Westbrook's been extremely reliable in that moment. Jamal Murray's been very good for the most part, shooting, spotting up. Aaron Gordon, especially. Christian Brown's coming around a little bit. But if those guys are good enough to hit those shots and to kind of put that fear in them, then maybe the paint is going to be open. And the other thing is that if OKC goes one big in some of these lineups or J-Dub slides to the 4, they really don't have a lot of other big guys. So if Jokic kind of deals with the other big man, just watching some replays, so many of the offensive rebounds and the inside positioning that he had were because Jamal or somebody else was able to draw the solo big out of the paint. And then Jokic is contending for a rebound with Alex Caruso or Aaron Wiggins or J-Dub or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And that is a great matchup for Jokic. So it's not just going to be about the post-ups. It's not just going to be about the initial actions. It's about what happens when a shot gets up. And I think Denver can dominate the glass. And Jokic is one of the best rebounders in the NBA.
Yeah. And the second chance points really killed the Thunder in terms of it's a great way to counteract the extra possessions, the possession battle, because OKC takes them away by causing turnovers.
Yeah.
But if you generate more of them by getting rebounds, I can balance that out. And that's, I think, is
63 to 43 when the rebounding battle is just massive. And like, it's not just a Jokic thing. It's of course an Aaron Gordon thing. It's a Christian Brown thing. Like it can be a Michael Porter Jr. thing. It just kind of depends on how the shoulder holds up for him and who he's facing. But I do think that the size is a big deal in this matchup. And if OKC can outshoot them, then great, but they only shot 35%.
Jokic just looks so comfortable in game one. We'll see if they do anything to send more help and how that changes their defensive principles, which is something they really don't want in game two. Coming up, I want to ask Ryan, who has been one of the most complimentary people I know about the Thunder, where he's at on this OKC team, and we'll talk about how Denver can steal game two to go up 2-0, head back to Mile High. Coming up on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets, thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. If you're coming to games 3 and 4, head on over to section 130. We are at the bottom of that section over the VOM, over the tunnel, and you can get yourself a No Jinx sticker if you want, or a swipe and grab one. Yep, you see Ryan showing up there on youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets.
Look at that face. Look at it. Why'd you make yourself a different color than the rest of the text?
I'm going to try very, very hard to get the other ones that people have asked for them to be mailed. I will work on getting those out this week. It is difficult because of I'm working all the time, but I will work tomorrow again. Hey, by the way, shout out to Ted at CSU. Big fan of the show. Listens to it. Was telling somebody I know that they listen to the show. So shout out Ted. Appreciate you letting her know that. Okay, so all year long, since game one, right? Game one of this season was you and I were both like, oh God, like OKC is going to be as good, better than we thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
They were so great in that game. And as they steadily built along the season, like you've been very much like, what are we doing here? Like they're better than everybody else. Like, they're just better than everybody else. And I think that was part of it. Like my thing on game one was really honestly just about the rest spot. Is I was relying on historical trends, which, hey, 20% of the time, teams in the Nugget spot won, the 20% happened. But you've had a little bit more of a fatalist view of going up against OKC. Having seen them up close and personal now in these playoffs, where are you at on this team?
It's funny. So first and foremost, Denver is now 3-2 versus OKC in the year of 2024-25, which kind of wild to think about given how like crazy the first matchup between these two teams were, how overwhelmed the Nuggets looked early on in the season. Maybe that was more about the Nuggets and less. I mean, it was about the Thunder, but it was just more about the Nuggets, not necessarily being ready at that moment for this. I think, and Adam, our good old co-host of Locked On Nuggets, he said something that I thought was very salient, that Denver's just a better team now than they were at the beginning of the playoffs. And I think there's some major truth to that, that Denver, over the course of these 8 games that they have played, have become better and better and better at reading the floor, at understanding what's needed, at fighting for the right loose balls, at understanding and making the plays that you just have to make in these situations. And they've gone through the fire for sure. OKC has not gone through the fire. And it was pretty clear in game 1 that as that game was like, they were trying to hold on to a lead, they're trying to do everything that they could, but making mistakes here or there, sagging off of Jokic just a little bit to allow him to attempt a 3 in a situation where that cuts the lead to 1. And then just getting into foul trouble. Like Denver was in the bonus for so much of that fourth quarter, and OKC could not help themselves. They were just fouling over and over. And so there is something to be said about the common sentiment that they are too young. I kind of just thought that they would be a wagon and that Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren would be a lot better in this playoff run than they were last year. Maybe that's wrong. And it's just errant analysis from me. Like, J-Dub went 5 of 20. Chet Holmgren was okay in the game. He wasn't great. They could also, as young players, turn it around and just be way better going forward. That would not shock me in the slightest, because it's kind of what I thought would happen. But I am impressed with the way that Denver, as the veteran team, as a team that has clearly done this before, just found ways to win. And it's ways that I thought OKC would be finding. And in the second half, they just didn't.
The experience thing is such a double-edged sword. It's really tough because it's like, I don't think it's not a thing. It's not like I don't think that it's a factor.
Sure.
I think you do have to go through these things in order to kind of get there. And it's what really sucks is like, for as much as like OKC's so lucky, and it's like, are they? They've never won a title despite doing everything right twice.
They kind of built their own luck, man. Like that's the thing. Is like, it's why I respect what they've done as much as I have. They've built their own stuff. Like Sam Presti, he took a lot of flack, including from me, for tanking as hard as he did and making all the trades. And he was the butt of a lot of jokes because it always came attached with a second round pick. But like, they have gone about this thing the right way. And it's why I was very impressed with them. But the fact that they have, like, you're now in this moment for the second time in your team's kind of short history together, and you're going up against a team that has won a title. How are you going to respond to it? How can you go up against the best player in the world? Do you believe that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the best player in the world when you're going up against Nikola Jokic? It's kind of hard.
Yeah, and I don't think that that's like how they kind of view it. I think they view it as like Shai's the right leader for us, and he's good enough for us to win with. I don't think that they get into those kind of conversations. I don't think either one of them gets into those kind of conversations.
But like it's a confidence thing. It's more of a
but I don't think you need to.
Like,
I don't think you need to. Like, do you need to believe that your guy's the best in the world to win the series?
No, but you need to know that you are going to get into the right mechanisms down the stretch, and that player is going to put you there. And Jokic over and over and over and over and over again has put Denver into the right places to succeed. And I think that with Shai, they obviously believe that he can, but it's kind of like where Jokic was back in 21 or 22 or in that general range, as opposed to the last 4 years of development that Jokic has done in terms of seeing this stuff over and over and over again, and everybody else around him seeing it over and over again, and how much confidence they have in that moment.
Yeah, no, a lot of this is ephemeral, and it's, we've also built narratives around things after they happen where it's like,
I'm here to build a positive Denver Nuggets narrative right now. Let me tell you that.
that's true. Ryan's a convert. Ryan's going to be the hero that you need and the hero you want. And I'll be the one you deserve. That's how this will go.
Batman.
So what do they need to do in game 2? Because I'm going to be very interested to see how they shift coverage. If they're just like, okay, we tried to play things pretty straight up here and we got demolished by Jokic. So are we just going to have to play a little bit different and switch a little bit more front, send more help, swarm, those kind of things? That'll be an interesting question. I think offensively for them, they generally did pretty well. Somebody was asking, like, why did they leave Lou Dort open? And it's like, guys, they've left Lou 3-point shooters open all year. It's not Lou Dort thing.
You guys ain't slick. This ain't nothing new.
So, we'll see what they do in game 2. What are you expecting as far as adjustments in game 2?
I think the Jokic post Jokic isolation conversation is really, really interesting. How OKC decides to deal with that. The easy answer is that it will probably change throughout the game based off of different situations and different lineup combinations. I think when there is one big on the floor, that's what I am most interested in, because I think that that's the area where OKC is both at their most dangerous, but also their most vulnerable. Because if they go that small, then they have to do it right. They have to be connected. They have to be on a string. They have to be fighting. They have to be willing to mix it up with Denver, who has shown that they've been willing to mix it up at a very high level. I think that they will go one big, and it's either going to be Chet or Hartenstein on a consistent basis, and they're going to shrink the floor behind in those situations and not let Jokic get any possible idea that he's going to get any shot closer than 8 feet. They're going to double. They're going to scramble. They're going to do everything they can to get the ball out of his hands. They'll probably double on the catch on occasion as well. So I'm curious to see how Denver handles that, what they do. But I think that OKC is going to try to junk it up even more. And the best guy to do that is with Alex Caruso. Best guy to do it is with Case and Wallace. These guys are thieves. These guys are incredible. So I'm very curious to see what the turnover numbers look like. If Denver can limit those in that kind of situation, they have a shot.
Yeah, that's one of the real things here is, like, if Denver just doesn't turn the ball over, they're very live to go up 2-0.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make any more predictions. Maybe ever.
Yeah, I'm so done.
I'm done. It's fine. Good content.
No jinx. No, more like no problem. You don't get anything anymore.
You don't get anything anymore. Vicinity says, should Porter just come off the bench? He's basically unplayable. He was great in game 7. That was 4 days ago, man.
I've seen that a lot on, like, I had some people asking me on social, like, should Russell Westbrook just start? No, not yet. Like, if there's a time and a place for it. Denver's not at that desperate place. If Porter does, like, become actually unplayable, then that's fine. He had a bad game 1. He could just as easily have a great game 2, or at least a solid enough game 2 that he is back on the floor, back in crunch time. There's a very real situation where he is out there closing game 2. So don't put the cart before the horse. There's no reason to.
I'm looking at something real quick. Okay, so in 34 minutes with only one of Isaiah or Chet on the court, they were plus 16.
The Nuggets or the Thunder?
The Thunder.
Okay.
So Denver was, wow, this is stunning. Okay, so plus 16 with only one of them on.
Okay.
With both of them on, Denver was plus 14. So, I mean, this makes sense to me because it's basically they can't play the double big because they're not, the lineup has been clunky all year. It takes away too much from them offensively.
I was just not able to say, like, it kind of bails out Denver a little bit with their matchups.
Yeah, Chet's not able to score effectively enough. Like, this is wow. Okay, so I got to do the math on this. I'm on PBP. Yeah, they had an 80 offensive rating in those minutes.
Do you think that Alex Caruso starts game 2 over
Yes.
Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yes.
I kind of think that they're going to trend that way.
Yep. I think they're gonna start with Chet on court and what single big and put Caruso, because like there's a lot you can take away from this game if you're OKC is positive, where you're like, look, we shut the water off to Jamal Murray, we forced turnovers, which is part of our game plan, we generated open threes and knocked down an okay amount of them.
Yeah,
we just lost our minds for 7 minutes of action. And that really is what kind of happened. And our counter to that, I think, and it's a fair one, is like, well, yeah, but Denver, you lost the game where you had the high ground.
100%.
Like you lost the game where you had the high ground. And so now Denver's you have to make adjustments to them, and Denver knows that they can clean up all the stuff that put them down behind the 8 ball in the first place.
Yeah. One of the key and like we've been talking about fatigue a lot, there is a part of me, and I know there's a lot of people that have criticized us for referencing fatigue as much as possible. Is it possible that we are overrating it? Is it possible that this is just not a thing for this Nuggets team, that they didn't play as many games individually as it would really yield a major fatigue issue? I don't know, like, because I feel like I have properly assessed it, and it's one of the reasons why we came out the way that we did for game 1. But like, Denver has been like one of the other factors. They're great on the second night of back-to-backs throughout the entire regular season.
They are, I'll say this, they're in a better spot physically and mentally than they were last year. And Adam's right about this, that, again, I disagree with how this happened, and I do not like scapegoating people and think it's pretty crappy. But it's undeniable that, like, the firings reset everything.
Yeah.
And put them into a different headspace, and they're just not as mentally drained because they're reinvigorated, and that extra boost has given them an edge there. The fact that game 7 was not this grueling nightmare, and instead it was just kind of a fun romp beatdown, I think contributed to that factor. I based it off a precedent. Like somebody that listens that hates me was talking about how much he doesn't want me to, like, that I said this only based off a precedent. And I was like, look, again, 80% of the time in this situation, this is what occurs across all teams. And it doesn't have to occur with this team. The Nuggets can be different.
Yeah.
I made an estimation based off of what happens 80% of the time with teams in the spot, because I don't think about like the analysis of that for me to be like, 80% of the time that this happens, but this Nuggets team is special. And like, that is probably something that as a fan of the Nuggets, you would like to hear. And that I believe you should believe. Like, I think you should think that. Your response to when I was saying on Saturday night, or whenever it was, Sunday night, that they're going to get killed in game 1 is they're going to show you, Matt. And then they showed me. And you can be like, see, that's exactly what you should do. You're fans. That's absolutely what you should do. Just don't get it twisted when it's like, I don't regret making that pick at all, because like the fatigue is real for everybody in that spot. I've seen it time and it's not just like this number I have. Sure. I've seen it where it's like a team comes off of that game 7 and they just don't have anything left. There's such a flood of relief. Think back to the Wolves last year, that game 1 versus the Mavericks. That was one of the biggest reasons I liked the Mavericks last year. Is I was like, there's such an emotional relief. You did it. You beat Denver in game 7, coming back from down 20.
Now you're locked in here with me. Now is says the other team. Matt, I don't see any way the Nuggets win game 2. I don't see any way. Like, it's not going to happen. There's no way. There's no possible way.
We would never, ever, ever jinx anyone. We'll find out if they can pull it off. We'll have a post-game show for you tomorrow. Hope you guys, or today, if you're listening to this on the podcast. Hope you guys have a great Wednesday. Enjoy game day. And we'll be talking to you after game 2 of Nuggets Thunder.